Commuters at Fiddlewick Central always assumed the mild hiss that preceded every announcement was just a quirk of the ancient loudspeaker system. If they had bothered to tilt their heads, they might have noticed that the bronze mouthpiece above Platform 3 glowed faintly whenever a train rolled in, as though it were stretching its lips and clearing its throat. Fiddlewick, however, thrived on the inattentiveness of humans. The station, its rails, and most importantly, the trains themselves used that oversight to stage the most riotous, long-running soap opera the Midlands had never officially broadcast. Steam, Steel, and Scandal. At Old 602 every weekday, the curtain always rose with the arrival of the suburban commuter, EMU 4589, known on the loudspeaker as Millie Multistop. Millie's doors parted with prim precision. Her vestibule smelled of herbal sanitizer, and her voice filtered through microphone pickups embedded behind her destination blinds, chirped, "Morning, darlings. Still pretending you like each other. Remember, elbows off the tie clips, lipstick off the collars, and feelings off the office laptops." The microphone relayed her words to every platform speaker. Passengers, hearing only the official script, the train now on Platform 1 is the OH6.05 service to Harrisham. Never suspected the rest of her chatter, which, with the aid of a frequency shield invented by a bored signal engineer in 1973, remained audible only to locomotives, carriages, and the occasional confused pigeon. Millie's remarks seldom went unchallenged. From the siding beyond the footbridge, old Sir Puffalote, the steam heritage locomotive, released a dragonish wheeze. The speakers coughed, and his aristocratic baritone boomed, audible to rolling stock only. Bit cheeky for a young multiple unit, aren't we? Back in my day, doors respected privacy, and engines didn't run their mouths faster than their motors. He ended the sentence with a theatrically timed clank of his coupling rods, the sonic equivalent of slamming an oak study door. Millie, unflappable, let her pantographs hum like raised eyebrows. "Back in your day," she replied, "people thought coal was a vegetable. Now hush, dear. You'll scare the accountants." Nothing delighted her like rattling Sir Puffalo's rivets. Their banter was the morning appetizer. The main course, every regular knew, would be served by the lunchtime express. At precisely 12:01, the Regal Northern Limited, Regina to friends, Reggie to frenemies, shot down the long approach line. She was power, she was grace, she was 125 miles per hour in lipstick red livery, and she knew it. Her horns announced, "Make way, lesser rolling things! A proper celebrity has arrived!" Millie responded with a diffident ding. Sir Puffalote blasted a sarcastic chuff that echoed like laughter inside an empty beer keg. And thus, each afternoon's episode began. Regina stretched her intercity bogies, as a ballerina might flex a foot, feeling the rails applaud. Then, through the speaker network, she delivered her daily monologue. "I had the most exhausting journey. Honestly, the drama north of Darlington. Points failure, frozen windscreen washer, and a sheep who thought the track was a catwalk. But here I am, still gorgeous, still on time, and still the only train whose catering trolley carries non-dairy tiramisu." From Platform 4, a gloomy rumble interrupted. "Well, bully for you." That was Freight Fred, a hulking Class 66 heavy-haul locomotive coated in a reliable patina of grime. Fred hauled aggregate, steel coils, and grudges. His wagons, lined up like disapproving aunties, clattered agreement. "Some of us have real work. 32 loaded hoppers, each heavier than your ego, sweetheart." Regina didn't even puff. "Frederick, darling, if I required dust, rust, or the warm aroma of diesel in my nostrils, I'd stand downwind of you. Alas, I prefer perfume to petrol." Her laughter tinkled across the station tannoy, as unsuspecting passengers merely heard a crisp, "Platform 2 for the 12:10 to Kingsley. Coach B refreshments available." It was that sort of game. Quip, parry, retort, every phrase floating just outside human hearing. Yet on one unremarkably drizzly Wednesday, the soap opera veered off script. The cause arrived at 14:45, exactly 3 minutes late, which in the world of gossiping locomotives amounted to bursting through a ballroom door with one's petticoats aflame. She announced herself in a soft, sultry contralto. "Velocity Service 934, through from the continent. Pleasure to make your acquaintances." The newcomer's nameplate read Velocissima, but she favored Sissy. She was a shining, aerodynamic European electric unit, allegedly capable of 186 mph when feeling frisky. Her nose cone gleamed like a freshly buffed Fabergé egg. The station fell silent. Regina broke the hush first. "Excuse me," she drawled. "Is there a reason your pantograph is flirting with the catenary? Some of us like to maintain a certain dignity while charging." Sissy merely smiled, the LED arrays of her headlamps pulsing coyly. "Darling, I was engineered for flirtation. Besides, my translator picked up some delightful chatter in your bandwidth. Is this the local social club?" Millie tittered. "More like a therapy group with rails. Welcome." Ignore Regina. She hisses because she can't purr. Sir Puffalote let off a statue-rattling snort. "A foreign electric thoroughbred. Marvelous. Perhaps she'll teach you sprinting etiquette, Reggie. No offense." "None taken," Regina lied, her windscreen wipers twitching like offended eyebrows. The scene would have ended in frosty politeness had Sissy not chosen that precise moment to pay Freight Fred a compliment. "I must say," she purred, scanning Fred's freight consist with appreciative sensors. "There's something magnificently authentic about raw horsepower, the way your traction motors hum." "Exquisite!" Fred, unused to praise from anything glossier than an oil rag, emitted a bashful grumble. "Oh, well, thanks. They're, standard alternators. Nothing fancy." He shifted a hopper in embarrassment, sending ballast spilling like popcorn onto the track. Regina's horn squealed in indignation, high enough to send gulls fleeing. "Authentic, please. The fellow hauls rocks. The most pulverized glamour in existence. And you dare flirt with that?" Sissy tilted her nose. "Energy is energy. Sugar. Some harness it to pull princesses, others to move mountains." The loudspeakers crackled from overloaded emotion. Passengers, meanwhile, heard only, "Due to congestion, the 14:50 service will depart from Platform 5. They grumbled into their takeaway coffees, unaware they were mid-audience to a brewing scandal that would shake steel. For the next hour, Fiddlewick Central simmered with tension. Regina whispered snide remarks across the circuit. "Watch your buffers. You might catch rust." Millie tried to mediate. "Ladies, mind the gap between ego and reality." Sir Puffalo offered unsolicited wisdom. "Youth fades. Velocity wanes. Coal dust is eternal." Sissy, unperturbed, laughed like champagne foam. Then, at 15:57, the plot twisted. A control room dispatcher's voice, as oblivious as any human, cut across public channels. "Attention all units! Freight derailment reported at milepost 41. Need a rescue consist. Closest heavy loco is Fiddlewick Yard, class 66, call sign Fred." Within seconds, internal circuits buzzed with worry. Milepost 41 lay on Regina's route home. Her evening departure left at 16:05. Sir Puffalo's scheduled heritage jaunt would trundle past at 16:20. Millie's 17-0 suburban shuttle also crossed the same stretch. If the line remained blocked, timetables would fall like dominoes, reputations with them. Regina sniffed. Typical. Chaos always chooses my spotlight. Fred, do move your geological playground and clear the line. Fred's pride prickled. It's a rescue, not a valet service, Your Majesty. I'll need authority, route, and a pilot driver. Before bickering ignited, Sissy interjected smoothly. Darling Fred, I can supply the driver. My onboard ETCS can generate movement tokens. Let's couple up and dash. Sir Puffalo rumbled with curmudgeonly gusto. Couple an electric to a diesel? Preposterous! Millie chimed in. Actually, regenerative braking plus Fred's tractive effort could make a formidable duo. Physics ships it. Regina spat static. Oh, marvelous. Now even equations are matchmaking. Fine, scamper off together. I shall sit here, late, humiliated, and forced to serve lukewarm tiramisu. But Dispatch had overheard enough to seize the idea. Over the public frequency came the order. Emergency consist. Class 66. Fred to lead. Assisted by Electric 934. Velocissima. Depart Platform 4 immediately. Humans on the concourse witnessed only a flurry of reflective vests, a clanging of points, and the startling spectacle of a sleek Continental unit towing a huffing freight brute out of the yard, like a debutante escorting a bouncer to the dance floor. To the rolling stock, of course. It was high drama. As they roared northward, Regina brooded. Passengers boarding her coaches sensed tension in the aircon. She muttered, not caring that audio filters were off, and humans might glimpse a syllable or two. Betrayed by ballast! Seduced by a socket! A child in Coach D tugged her mother's sleeve. Mummy, the train's talking. The mother replied, Yes, dear. It says we're delayed. And returned to her phone. Out on the main line, Fred and Sissy blasted through green signals. She fed him precise data, gradient charts, rail temperatures, over the inter-train band. He provided bulk, 3,300 horsepower of growling diesel. Together, they hauled breakdown cranes, welding teams, and a carriage of fresh tea urns. Railway unions never rescue without tea. The unlikely couple arrived at the derailment scene in record time. Fred nudged the stranded wagons while Sissy's regenerative brakes held the convoy steady. Within 40 minutes, the uptrack was partially cleared. Back at Fiddlewick, Sir Puffalo and Millie listened to real-time updates via signal circuits. Puffalo puffed wistfully. Reminds me of the great snowstorm of '63. I rescued an entire troop of Royal Scots with nothing but sand in my sandboxes and fire in my belly. Millie ogled him. You romantic boiler. I swear your chimney blushes when you reminisce. By 17:10, Control declared the line safe for limited traffic. Regina's departure, originally rescheduled for 17:30, might yet leave at 17:15. But first, Fred and Sissy needed to return. And that's when someone, accounts later, blamed a fatigued signaler, left both up and down lines, set converging onto the same track section. Two lovers, two rails, one imminent face-to-face encounter. Sissy spotted the conflict on her digital map. Fred, darling, looks like we're headed for a single-line Mexican standoff. Fred gulped octane. Dispatch, we've got opposing paths. Override. Repeat. Override. But the signaler's console had entered one of those moods known only to railway systems and ancient vending machines. It froze, then helpfully rebooted itself. Sir Puffalo, monitoring everything like a vulture in a top hat, growled. Someone's got to trip the failsafe. The token instruments are in the panel room beside the ladies' loo. But no humans aware. Millie's motor brushes word. If I start a fire alarm in my number 2 car, staff will evacuate passengers toward the concourse. That corridor leads past the panel room. Might jolt someone. Puffalo's safety valves hissed approval. Do it, lass! Millie triggered a subtle smoke detector glitch. Nothing harmful. Just enough scented vapor from her own air freshener units. A guard noticed, pulled the alarm, and the chains of bureaucracy dragged two station managers right to the panel room, where they discovered the frozen display and frantically switched the route. The tracks clunked, the points shifted, and Fred diverted to the little used relief loop with inches to spare. Sissy coasted past on the main, horns blaring grateful kisses. Crisis averted. By 17:18, Velocissima glided back into Fiddlewick, her bodywork sparkling despite drizzle. Over the loudspeakers, she announced in a voice the humans could hear for once. Platform 4. We apologize for the earlier disruption. Normal service has resumed. Passengers clapped, thinking it was the station staff talking. Little did they know the staff were still in the panel room, arguing about firmware updates. Regina, already boarding, could not deny Sissy's heroism, but she could try. All very dashing, I'm sure, but some of us have reputations built on decades of punctuality. Sissy transitioned to the private frequency and replied gently, My dear Regina, reputations are engines. They run better when occasionally overhauled. Then, in a lower register, audible only to the intercity queen. Besides, the way you held your brake force while waiting, steady, elegant. I was impressed. Regina's head-end lighting softened. You were. Utterly. Perhaps tomorrow we might share track 1 for a double-headed demonstration run. Imagine the magazine covers. Regina, flustered, flicked a windshield wiper coquettishly. Well, I suppose publicity never hurt a girl. On the opposite loop, Fred listened, bemused. Millie rolled alongside and teased. Sounds like you're yesterday's ballast, big guy. He shrugged his massive buffer beam. Let him. Sissy's a starship. I'm a cargo mule. But we had a moment, didn't we? Millie offered a sympathetic ping. Moments matter. Besides, rumor says the construction consortium's ordering hybrid locos for the new quarry contract. Somebody will need mentoring. Fred brightened. Hybrid? Like half diesel, half electric, more or less. Well then, Fred said, chuckling with his entire chassis. Guess I'd better brush up on my small talk about voltage. Sir Puffalo steamed up, releasing a paternal plume. May I propose a celebratory toot? At 18 no sharp. Nothing bonds comrades like synchronized whistles. Regina rolled her eyes but acquiesced. Sissy giggled. Count me in. Millie set an automated reminder ping on the PA system, disguised for human ears as, there will be a short demonstration of heritage whistle tones at 6 p.m. Passengers of a nervous disposition may wish to cover their ears. At 18:20, Fiddlewick resonated with a chord of horns, whistles, and chuffs that rattled the waiting room teacups. Commuters applauded, assuming it was part of Rail History Week. No one suspected it was merely the cast of Steam, Steel, and Scandal signing off for the night. As dusk crept over the canopies, Regina prepared to depart at last. She addressed the private band with uncharacteristic warmth. Fred, thank you for your grit. Sissy, thank you for everything. Millie, Sir Puffalo, you incorrigible agitators, thank you for having my back. Puffalo chuckled. Where else would we have it? You're too fast to have your front. Laughter rippled across rails. With a majestic hum, Regina pulled out. Passengers oblivious to the newfound camaraderie humming through her traction motors. Overhead, the tannoy spoke one last time for the night. Millie's gentle lilt mingling with station ambience. Mind the gap. Mind your manners. And mind that heroes come in all shapes, sizes, and axle loads. The people thought it was just another pre-recorded message. The pigeons, who had long learned to eavesdrop on the subsonic band, cooed approvingly, and under Fiddlewick Central's wrought iron roof, the train settled into a contented hush, storing up fresh gossip for tomorrow's episode. Because a soap opera without scandal is merely a timetable, and where's the fun in that?